Hey, what is up, YouTube? My name is Matt Barsoom, and this is not my BMW E46. It's been a couple months, and I guess it's time for an update, especially since we're now talking about a completely different car. So, like I said, this is not a BMW E46. This is a BMW E60. Specifically, it is a 2005 545i, so 4.4 liter V8, pre-LCI 5 Series. Yeah, I mean, let's get into it. So I'll talk a little bit about how I got this car. So the quick and easy background was that I was doing a lot of maintenance on the car. I had a ton of stuff lined up for it. So I was planning on dropping the drive shaft, rebuilding the shifter, changing the center support bearing on the drive shaft, the Dweebo flex disc, front control arm bushings, just a lot of the suspension components on the E46s that you typically want to be wary of. Doing a lot of work on the interior, and I had a lot of motor work to do. It was starting to burn a ton of oil. I mean, the oil consumption was getting up there. I was maybe adding a quart of oil every other fill up of gas. It was starting to get ridiculous. So one of these days I was browsing on Facebook in one of the E46 groups, and a guy from Indiana had posted this car saying that he was looking for something a little bit different, something that would be a good candidate for a motor swap. He had just finished rebuilding the motor in this, and it was not going to be a good candidate for a motor swap. There's tons of ECUs and programming that goes along with it. It's not really a good platform to do a motor swap on. And I was kind of thinking, you know, I'm ready for something a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner, something that doesn't need as much work, and something that I can still make a nice car, make fun. I've always been a huge fan of these E60s. This has been one of my favorite generation cars. I've always liked these. I know that it is a polarizing look for a lot of people. Some people hate it, some people love it. I am definitely one of those people that love it. But I got to talking to the guy, showed him everything about the car, showed him left to right, and he drove down from Indiana in this and drove the BMW E46 back, and it was a straight trade, and he's happy with it. I'm happy with this car for the most part. It was a little rough getting started. There was a couple mechanical issues. The valve cover gasket was so new that the change in altitude caused it to actually swell on the drive here, causing it to leak a ton of oil. So in the process of replacing that, I actually broke the Valvetronic sensor, which sits right at the back of the engine. Unfortunately, that's like a $200 sensor. I tried cheaping out, and the one I bought was defective. So it misfires on startup for about 30 seconds. Once it gets up to temperature, it runs fine, idles fine, motors are fine, it'll learn the position. So I just got to get that new sensor. I'm waiting on a new one from that eBay seller. Other than that, it drives pretty well. Like I said, the motor was recently rebuilt, so new head gasket, new valve seals. A lot of the problem areas on this motor was taken care of. Cosmetically, it's in pretty good shape. This is a fresh coat of paint from the original paint. The original paint was Titan Silver. However, you can see, especially around the license plate area, that the paint wasn't really blended well. I think the new color that they used wasn't quite factory. It was a little different, and they didn't do a fantastic job prepping the bumper. Other than that, paint around the rest of the car is in great shape. There's a little rock chips here and there from being driven on the road, but yeah, I mean, let's talk about the car. So it is currently sitting on low ring springs. Factory suspension still has the factory electronic dampening control. I do like the lowered lift. You can best believe that this car is going to get bagged, just like the E46. I do have a set of Varstone ES2s lined up for it. 3 of them are at the shop getting straightened right now. Kind of bummed about that, but once I get them back, I'm going to get them repainted, get the car bagged. It's going to look fantastic on these wheels. Like I said, I've got it prepped for bagged. I've actually got another video coming up real soon here talking about airlift and why I'm not actually going with airlift management this time around. So make sure you look out for that. It'll hopefully be an enlightening video for a lot of the people who are thinking about bagging their cars, kind of new to it. Other than that, like I said, car's pretty stock. It does have a muffler delete. It sounds great. I've always been a fan of the sound of a V8, and I think this car is no exception. Other than that, interior's pretty stock. I do plan on swapping out that radio. I have a touchscreen unit that supports CarPlay, Android Auto, all that fun stuff. It is sitting right there in the passenger seat, but they sent me the wrong model, so got to get that swapped out. But yeah, I mean, it is, as far as E60s go, it is one of the cleaner ones I've seen, and getting a straight trade for the E46 I think was awesome. This is going to be a fun project. Like I said, there is a lot of work that the E46 needed. This one doesn't need as much work, and I'm really looking forward to it. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot to say. Keep an eye out on my channel. Like I said, life happens. I do plan on trying to update you guys a lot more, make more videos, kind of keep you involved on the process, not just make one video and disappear. I do have a video coming up real soon here, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. This is going to talk a lot about the issues with airlift and why I'm moving away from airlift on this build and actually moving to a completely different system. Not a lot of people have probably seen it, but I am ready to take that leap. What else? Definitely going to have a video when the wheels go on, kind of showing the final product, talking about that. Review of the radio that's going in. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you get subscribed. Follow me on Instagram, e60.co, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in.